welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be doing a very cozy fall reading vlog. I have a really fun book planned for this vlog, and also I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling, a lot of fun fall activities, so I'm really excited about this one. The book that I'm planning on reading in today's video is none other than the classic. It is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I have actually previously read this book already. I read it a couple of years ago and absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorite gothic atmospheric classic books, and I really wanted to reread it this season just to see how I feel about it after so many years, to see if my feelings change at all about this book, because on the first read it was a 5-star for me. And what makes this experience even more special is the fact that I'm going to be buddy reading this book with my friend Trina over at Trina Hours. If you have not heard of her channel, I highly recommend going and checking it out. She has a wonderful booktube channel. She's one of my favorite people to watch here on booktube, and she's just like a wonderful person. She has so many interesting reviews. She reads so much and very diversely. She also has a lot of fun videos like book shopping tours and whatnot. So I highly recommend you check out her channel because it is honestly fantastic, and I get so excited every single time that she posts. So I'm very excited that this is going to be a buddy read with Trina. I'm excited to be sharing my thoughts with her as we make our way through the book. And also I have never done a buddy read before, so this is going to be my first experience doing so, and I'm just really looking forward to it. And also, as I said, I do have a lot of fun plans. Specifically, I am going to be traveling. I'm going to be going to the Canadian Rockies, which it's one of my favorite places to ever go to. So I'm so excited to take a few days off and enjoy the vacation. I really hope that it's going to be very fall-like there. I'm hoping for a lot of yellow and red trees. I think it is going to be gorgeous. And also besides that, I'm going to be trying to do some more fall activities, maybe some baking, some crafting. We will see what we get up to in this video, but I'm just ready to embrace the cozy season. So I really hope that you're excited to join me today, and let's jump right into the video. Good morning, friends. Happy Saturday. I'm so sorry for a rather weird angle. I forgot my tripod on this trip, so we're gonna have to do with some weird angles and potentially shaky shots, but I guess that's okay. I hope that's okay. Anyways, it is currently Saturday morning, and last night I stayed in a hotel that has some hot springs, and it was wonderful. There outside, it was cold, but obviously inside the water it was really hot, and I just had the best time. I stayed there for probably 3 hours, just like sitting in a pool, and I had the best time. It was so much fun. I'm very happy that I am here. I have a wonderful view from the hotel room. Let me show you. And it is currently around 9. I'm gonna go take my dog on a walk now, and then after that we're gonna go and get some breakfast, and then we're going to start our drive to the Rocky Mountains, which is going to take pretty much like the whole day. Today is going to be road trip day, but I'm excited about it nevertheless. And yes, I'm just really excited to finally get to the Rockies. As I said, I love it there so much. It's like one of my favorite places to go to ever, so I'm very excited. I also wanted to give you a very quick update on Rebecca. I am currently 35 pages into this book, and so far I'm loving it so much. I'm remembering why I gave this book 5 stars on the first read, and I feel like it might be a 5-star on the reread. I don't know. So far, it's wonderful. The writing is just so easy to get to. In the very first chapter, you see a dream of the main character, and she dreams about this mansion Manderley, and it's very like gothic, atmospheric. It's wonderful. There's mystery around this place, and then after that, you get her flashbacks of her youth, of when she was very young and very naive, and how she met her future husband in Monte Carlo. I think this book is just so wonderful so far. I really enjoy the narrative style. It's almost almost like following a journal or a conversation. And I really enjoy following the main character. I feel like she's very likable so far. And also I really like her voice and seeing the events from her perspective. So far I'm having a really good time. It doesn't feel like a classic at all. It reads so easily. So I'm really enjoying it. I cannot wait to continue reading more later tonight. Hopefully, maybe during the day whenever I'm not driving. We will see how it goes. But yeah, for now I'm just gonna go on my walk. I'm going to start the day and then I will keep you updated on anything that happens. Okay, so it is currently Tuesday. Yesterday I did not vlog anything because honestly I just drove for 6 hours straight and that was pretty much my day. And then after that I relaxed and rested because I was way too tired. But my trip was absolutely wonderful. I had such a great time. Honestly, I love going to national parks whenever I get a chance and it is always so gorgeous there. And I feel like my soul is being fed when I look at the mountains. However, one thing that I did not really plan well for is the fact that I thought this was going to be like the ultimate fall reading vlog, but actually in the mountains it's already snowing, so it was very much giving winter vibes, but that's okay. You know, it was still absolutely gorgeous and it honestly wasn't really that cold either. So yeah, I had a wonderful trip and it was really, really lovely to go away for a few days. Also, I wanted to talk to you about my reading because last night I made it to page 100 of Rebecca and honestly, I'm just having such a great time reading this book. I was really worried going into this reread because I read this book a couple of years ago and I gave it 5 stars and I have such a great impression in my head of this book. But now that I'm rereading it, I was a little bit worried whether I'm going to like it again. Maybe I will find some flaws in the book or whatnot. But I'm happy to report that I'm absolutely loving my time rereading this book. It is so great. I feel like the writing is so easy to fly through. I feel like this is the fastest I've ever read a book. Now, obviously, like I have not read much of it. I'm only 100 pages in. But whenever I do get a chance to sit down and read it, I feel like I'm flying through the pages. It's just so fast paced, but also it's written beautifully. And I'm just enjoying the narrative style so much. Also, I find it very interesting. So now I made it to the part where we're in Manderley, which is this big mansion. So the FMC, who is very young, gets married to this guy who owns this mansion, and so she now moves in with him. Now she's 21 and he's 42, so there is a huge age gap between them. And something that I find very interesting that I don't think I noticed when I read this book for the first time is the fact that FMC has a very, very healthy imagination. She keeps overthinking, which I can relate to. But she overthinks and imagines different scenarios before we actually get to see what actually happened on that day. So before any big event, like let's say before she goes to Manderley, she imagines what it would be like once she's there, and then we actually see the events of her arriving and what actually happened on that day. And I think it is a very interesting, subtle way to make the narrator slightly unreliable, because even though it could be justified by her being very young, at the same time you get so many of these fake scenarios that she makes in her head that you almost start to question whether the things that are actually real in the story, how true they actually are. Because now that she arrived, it is very clear that everything in this house still very much revolves around Rebecca, who died a year ago. And so it's interesting to see whether the things that FMC is thinking are actually true. Or maybe it's her imagination that allows her to think that something is off about the house and the way people behave in it, or maybe something actually is wrong. So I find that it is a very interesting way to tell a story, and also I'm enjoying the writing style so much. I'm just looking forward to reading this book every single day, and I'm so excited to make more progress in it. Also, I'm absolutely loving the fact that I'm buddy reading this book with Trina, because it's just been so much fun to discuss this book as we read through it. Also, somehow, at least thus far, we ended up reading this book at the exact same pace, even though we did not really agree on like a specific amount of pages we're going to read or whatever. And yeah, it's just been a wonderful experience to be able to talk about it with a friend, and literally every day whenever I have time, I'm really looking forward to picking this book back up. So I'm happy to report that so far it's been wonderful. I'm excited to make more progress in it. I think I'm going to continue / potentially hopefully finish it this week. So I will keep you updated whenever I make more progress, maybe significant progress, so that I have more things to discuss. But yeah, I will let you know how the rest of it goes. I have some updates for you. I am now 60% into the book, so almost on page 300, and I'm really enjoying it, but also it's provoking such a strong emotional response in me. This book pisses me off. Most of these characters piss me off so much, but I feel like since it is able to provoke such a strong reaction in me, it means that it is such a good writing, because I'm not upset because it's poorly written or the story doesn't make sense. No. So at this point of the story, the main female character lives in Manderley with her new husband, and things are not going really well. There are definitely some questionable things that are happening. Specifically, every single adult at Manderley is an absolute bully. It is so upsetting because the main female character is portrayed as very young. I think she's 20 or 21. She's extremely naive. I think also what plays the role in the way that she perceives the world is her upbringing and just the time period when this book is set. But I think it is portrayed so well how naive she is, but at the same time it is also very frustrating. Everyone at Manderley pretty much takes advantage of the fact that she's a child and bullies her for it. It upsets me so much. These people are just bullies for absolutely no reason. This society is so bored that they have nothing better to do in their lives than to bully this literal child. I know she's 20, and I know in modern times you don't look at a 20-year-old as an actual child. In this story, and again, the way the character has her background, it is very much clear that she's really young and she doesn't really behave as a 20-year-old would behave these days. And I think it's true to the time period. I don't really have issue with the fact that she's so naive, but but it is all the people around her that are just so mean and rude to her, and specifically Maxime, her husband. I cannot stand him. Honestly, I don't remember how I felt about Maxime on my first read of Rebecca. I remember that I really liked him at the beginning because it starts as like such a wow love story fairy tale where he just sees her in Monte Carlo and he wants to marry her right away, and it's just like a very much Cinderella type of story. So I remember in the first read I really liked him at the beginning, but I don't actually remember how I felt about him throughout the book. But now I just cannot stand him because he bullies her so much. He keeps a lot of resentment towards her. For example, right now I finished a chapter where there was a ball that had like kind of like a masquerade costume party situation. She didn't know what she wanted to dress up as for this event, and everyone, including Maxime, were suggesting she dresses up as Alice in Wonderland or some other character that is a child, and they were basically making fun of her, saying, oh, you can't pull anything else off, you're a child, you should do a childish character that's basically like not pretty. That's not to say that Alice in Wonderland is not pretty. The meaning that they imply is that they want her to be someone very simple, very cute, but nothing too complicated because she is unable to do anything more than that. And in that environment, how are you supposed to, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm so annoyed because also whenever she does, for example, hello, someone wants to say hi. I think I forgot a little bit what I was talking about. Oh yeah, so about the costumes. So they were bullying her into going as someone very simple because she can't really do anything else. And then there are a couple of moments within the story where she imagines what Rebecca was like. Maxime catches her doing that and he hates because she starts to imagine what it would be like to be confident, to be as welcoming and as interesting as Rebecca was. And whenever Maxime sees her be this way, he absolutely hates it and he asks her not to do it because what he says he liked about her the most is the fact that she's so innocent, so naive, and that she doesn't have that pretense and that pose that Rebecca had. But then at the same time, he also despises her for that naivety, for that childlike quality. And also he expects her to read his mind because he thinks that she should know things that she absolutely has no idea about and there is no way for her to know them. He just expects that from her and I hate the dynamic. You know what? A lot of editions of Rebecca have red cover and I think red stands for the amount of red flags that this marriage has because oh my god, is it bad. Also besides that, we have that mystery because even though we know what happened to Rebecca, there is still some kind of uncertainty about one of the women who work at Manderley, which is Miss Danvers. She is very creepy and very questionable. So it seems like she was very loyal to Rebecca and she really loved her and she even kept all of Rebecca's possessions and her rooms exactly the way that they were. On one hand, it is a very interesting loyalty that could be seen as sweet, but now that we see more of it, we see that it is actually really creepy and something is definitely wrong. And Miss Danvers, even though at the beginning she came across as strict but maybe not actually a villain character, now we see that she's also a bully and she definitely has something against the new wife of Maxime, and also there is just something wrong with her and she has her own agenda and her own secrets that we don't really know about, and it's very interesting to see how that dynamic is also going to unravel. So I'm really enjoying it. Also, I'm enjoying commentary on the society because all of these people, as I said, they're just bored. It's adults who literally have nothing to do with their lives. So they spend their time gossiping and bullying and entertaining themselves the best they can. But it's just really sad to read about, but it's also entertaining to an extent. But as I'm reading this book, I think there are so many moments that I find so interesting and very intriguing, and I'm really enjoying it. Also, I forgot to mention about this whole marriage situation is that the main female character multiple times compared herself to the dog of this family. She's like, I'm just like Jasper, the dog. Wow, what a happy marriage that is when you think that you're just like a dog to your husband. Yay. Also, there was a scene when Maxime leaves for London and the female character is left alone. I keep saying main female character because we're never given her name. We only know the names of everyone else and Rebecca, but we don't actually know the name of the narrator, which I think is a very interesting way of plotting the story and presenting this story. So yeah, I really like it. Anyways, so there is a moment when Maxime left for London and she was left alone for a couple of days and she was so happy. She was literally running around, jumping, enjoying herself, and she even admits to herself that she would never be able to be as happy if she was next to Maxime. But then she says, oh, but I miss him and I love him so much, I don't know. This marriage is so questionable. I feel really bad for the main character, honestly. And also something that I really like is the fact that I said that we have a lot of her being naive and very innocent, and it reads very much young because she's so young and childlike. However, there are also moments, for example, after that ball that I talked about, that we get the perspective of the character from the future. So we get her adult voice, and it is so different to her 20-year-old self, which again is so interestingly done because when you can feel so strongly that distinction between her being 20 and her in the present whenever she's writing this book, this story, this journal, whatever is meant to be, there is such a big difference between the two personalities. So you see that person grow and develop and have a completely different voice and the way that they come across, which yeah, I'm just really enjoying. I'm so happy I decided to do a reread. It was meant to happen this year and I'm just really enjoying my time. And also I'm really enjoying the buddy read. I feel like I say it in every single update, but it's so much fun to be able to talk to a friend about the book and we just keep discussing a lot of the plot points with Trina. It's the best. I'm so happy I'm doing this. I am loving reading this book. It has taken me a really long time to read it. First of all, it is a pretty long book. It's about 500 pages, but also I have been really busy, so I haven't had the most amount of time for reading, so I kind of just read here and there in little snippets whenever I have the time. But honestly, I'm not mad. If this is the only book that I read in October, I'm not even going to be mad because it is such a fun read. It is such a fun experience reading it, and yeah, going through the story, I'm really loving it. So I'm very happy about the choices that I made. I will try to finish it in the next couple of days. Also, I'm going to check out audiobook. So in my next update, I will let you know how audiobook goes. And yeah, I'm just really excited to progress in the story. I am loving reading this book so far. We have a lot of things to catch up on. I finished Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and I'm so happy to say that it is still a 5-star read for me. I loved this book so much on the reread, even more so than on the first read, I guess, because even though I knew what was going to happen, I also paid a lot more attention to different details and the writing. And I think overall one of my favorite parts about this book is its writing. It is written beautifully. It is so stunning, and I really enjoyed the atmosphere, the characters, even though I didn't like a lot of the characters, but I liked following their perspectives and trying to figure out who's wrong, who's right, and what is going on. And in general, I just think it is a fantastic classic. It is so accessible and so easy to fly through. So if you're looking for a classic, maybe you want to get into classics and they intimidate you, I promise you this is such an easy one to read. It is a little bit lengthy. It's just under 500 pages, but it just reads so easily. So I highly recommend it. I loved it so much. The last time that I spoke to you, I was at around 60% mark. And then within literally 10-20 pages, something happened that has changed the pacing so much, and the story has picked up a lot, and I could not put this book down. I did in fact check out the audiobook, not the official one, because for some reason it's not available in my region. However, I found a version of the audiobook on YouTube narrated by a channel called Classic Ghost Stories, and I found that audiobook to be so good. I could not stop listening to it. I just felt like the emotion and the intonations that the narrator put into the reading of the story were so good, and I was completely immersed in the story. I actually didn't mean to go through that much of the audiobook because I really wanted to enjoy it, reading it with my own eyes, just because the writing is so stunning. But I felt like this audiobook just added even more to the story, which is always such a great quality for an audiobook. So I highly recommend checking out that channel because it was really good. Another thing that I really wanted to mention before I forget is that I have this edition of Rebecca. I bought it off Amazon for Kindle for I think 99 cents. They had a sale. Do not buy this edition for Kindle. I think the printed version of this edition is okay, but whatever they did to convert it into an ebook did not work because the formatting of this audiobook was so weird. Some of the sentences would be split in half, and for example, the second part of the sentence would start at the new paragraph, and then also there was one chapter where literally the chapter finishes in the middle of a sentence. And then it goes into the next chapter. So I had to go to the audiobook and listen. It was only one or two sentences that were cut off, but still, it was just very weirdly, poorly formatted ebook. So yeah, I do not recommend this specific edition, even if it's on sale. I mean, it is readable, but it's just really bad. So if you have any other options, I would recommend going with other options or maybe a physical copy and so on. Besides that, the story, the actual story, I enjoyed so much. The tone of the book shifts so much. As I said in my previous update, we do see a lot more of the narrator's adult voice in the second part of the book. And specifically towards the ending, the shift is so noticeable and it is just so interesting to follow that. And I really enjoyed the character growth and development. Maxime, the main male character of the story, I despised before, and honestly, I kind of still despise him now. He started to get somewhat of a redemption arc, or at least an attempt at a redemption arc. I was very happy to see that it didn't quite go through and we never really got full-on justification for him, because honestly he was just so immature, and I really disliked how he treated the main character, even though it changes and there are some things that you discover as a reader in the second part that significantly change the dynamics of the whole house of Manderley. But still, I think Maxime is just immature and irresponsible, and I think the way that he handled things was just not the right way to go. Also, I really enjoyed the commentary on society, because this book is very much a representation of what the society was like at the time and how much social standards and insecurities of how you will be perceived in the society were in some cases more important than some moral boundaries and principles, which was definitely a very interesting commentary to see. I also felt like at the end of the book, the power shift was done so well. For example, as I mentioned before, the main female character compares herself to a dog at the beginning of the book quite a lot, because that's what she feels like. That's how much respect and power she has within this house. And then later at the end of the book, there is a moment where the main female character comforts Maxime, and she's saying how Maxime is just like Jasper. He's just like that dog that needed unconditional love and petting and taking care of. And she was the one who was in the situation, in the power to be taking care of him. So I think it was just so well done. It is such a very well structured work of art, and I really enjoyed how a lot of the parts of this plot have linked together, how they all came together, and the twist of it is just so delicious. And even though you do kind of have an idea, I think it is like, I wouldn't say it's easy to predict what's going to happen, but at some point you start making a theory as a reader of what could potentially be happening and it comes true, but then even that is not enough to give full reveal. So that plot twist is not the only thing that you're getting at the end. You then get more and more things that happen that make the ending of this book just so exciting and fun to read. So I had a wonderful time. I absolutely loved my time reading this book. I wanted to give you some examples of the beautiful writing of Daphne du Maurier. For example, in this instance, the main character is talking about the peace of Manderley. Whoever lived within its walls, whatever trouble there was and strife, however much uneasiness and pain, no matter what tears were shed, what sorrows borne, the peace of Manderley could not be broken, or the loveliness destroyed. The flowers that died would bloom again another year. The same birds built their nests, the same trees blossom. The old quiet moss smell would linger in the air, and bees would come, and crickets and herons built their nests in the deep dark woods. The butterflies would dance their merry jig across the lawns, and spiders spin foggy webs, and small startled rabbits who had no business to come trespassing poke their faces through the crowded shrubs. Also, in one of the moments when the main female character is talking about Rebecca and how everything revolves around Rebecca and she feels like she will never fill those shoes off the head of the house, that it will always be Rebecca and her shadow will always be over her, she says this: "Perhaps I haunted her as she haunted me. She looked down on me from the gallery as Miss Danvers had said. She sat beside me when I wrote my letters at her desk. That mackintosh I wore, that handkerchief I used, they were hers. Perhaps she knew and had seen me take them. Jasper had been her dog. He ran at my heels now. The roses were hers and I cut them. Did she resent me and fear me as I resented her? Did she want Maxime alone in the house again? I could fight the living, but I could not fight the dead." I think this book is such a beautiful work of fiction, especially if you're looking for something very atmospheric or a gothic read. I am so happy to say that on the reread I enjoyed it just as much as I did the first time that I read this book, and it is still one of my favorite books of all time probably, because it's just a wonderful work of fiction and I enjoyed it so much. So I highly recommend you check out this book, and thank you so much for coming along with me. Thank you for watching this video. If you have read Rebecca, please let me know down in the comments. If you want to discuss anything with spoilers, just please give a warning so that others don't get spoiled. But otherwise, I would love to talk to you in more detail about this book down in the comments. Also, a huge thank you to Trina for doing this buddy read with me. I had so much fun. It was truly the best experience. If you have never done a buddy read before, I highly recommend giving it a try. If you have someone in your life whom you could buddy read a book with, it is, I promise you, so much fun. I absolutely loved it. So thank you, Trina, so much. Please don't forget to go and check out Trina's channel. It is absolutely wonderful. I love every single one of her videos and I look forward to them every single week. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much and I really hope I see you in the next video. Bye!